Hello, everyone. Welcome to Veracode's live stream this morning. I'm excited to be here. My name is Claire Bailey, and joining me today is Neal Byrd. Neal, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you to introduce us both and what we're doing here at Veracode and some exciting news that we've got going on. So, hey, who are you, and what are we going to do here together at Veracode?
Thanks, Claire. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neal Byrd. I'm the Vice President of Public Sector here at Veracode. We recently were thrilled to hire Claire Bailey as our Regional Vice President of Governmental Affairs for our public sector team here at Veracode. So really what we are wanting to do today is kind of just introduce all of you to the new formal public sector practice of Veracode and why development security operations is going to be a really important part of your 2022.
Well, I'll start off by giving my background. So, it is exciting. In fact, this is like breaking news. Claire Bailey joined Veracode, and I'm excited to be working with Neal. For those of you who haven't known or met me before, I come through the government background. I retired after 24 years as the working in government in the state of Arkansas. In the last 8 to 10 of those, I had the wonderful opportunity to serve on Governor Mike Huckabee's cabinet as Director of Department of Information Systems, and then on to Governor Mike Beebe's cabinet. And there we've modified some legislation. I became the Chief Technology Officer. So fun times. I retired in 2014, joined the public sector sales organization at a company, and then took some time most recently to do consulting with my dearest friend, Karen Robinson, who is the CEO of KWR Strategies. When Veracode and I started looking together at some opportunities and things that we have going on in the public sector while I was with Karen, we put together a wonderful strategy, and I got to know Neal Byrd. And Neal is our Vice President of Public Sector. So that's my background and how I got to Veracode. And Neal, do you want to kind of give a synopsis of who you are and your journey to Veracode?
Sure. It's been I guess you could consider it a long journey. If you look back at software years, I've been in software sales for over 25 years, most of that in public sector at the federal level, the state and local level, and also supporting education accounts. So higher education and K through 12, continuing education, as well as sort of workforce development type work. I was attracted to Veracode just because this is an incredibly needed solution in an area to be filled, particularly when we think about protecting the keys to the kingdom of government. So, big picture, we are a cybersecurity company that specializes in securing your applications. And so if you think about just the realm of cybersecurity out there, I know most government customers are thinking about their edge and their perimeter. You're thinking about, how do I secure my network? How do I secure my endpoints? How do I secure my devices, or maybe even my email from phishing attacks? Sometimes you miss sort of that third tier, or thinking about what's going on in the physical code that is underlying my applications that are attached to my network. And that's really what Veracode is here to help secure.
Same reason I joined, and it's not only that, it's about the standing that Veracode has in the overall market, particularly around when I think about the Gartner Magic Quadrant. Talk a little bit about where we've been with Gartner, where they find us, and then how that correlates to our next steps, because we also have some late breaking news around what we're going to do in the federal market. So let's start with Gartner and migrate over to that federal arena.
So, Veracode is a company, we've been around since 2006. So what that says is we've been in this marketplace for a long time. We've built this amazing threat library of understanding by scanning over 66 trillion lines of code what the threat is out there and where hackers are trying to take advantage of stuff. So for that reason, we have an upper right-hand quadrant leadership position for development security operations in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and we have had for the last 8 years. So for 8 years running, Gartner has accredited us with the ability to lead and the ability to execute in this environment. We are also one of the fastest growing leaders in the Forrester wave in this space as well. So industry is recognizing our capability, government's recognizing our capability. So much, in fact, we've decided to double down and put an investment in government specifically. So we are on a path, we are in process with the GSA FedRAMP team to be FedRAMP moderate early next year. So we have a sponsor in the Security and Exchange Commission who is sponsoring us through the path. And we are anticipating an authority to operate, let's call it in the February, March timeframe. So we will be FedRAMP moderate. We will be state ramp accredited as well. So we are going to be, quite frankly, the only US based, US developed, women managed cybersecurity company that can operate securely in the cloud for all of our government customers. And we're really excited to announce that.
That is, it's truly a journey. Having looked at being FedRAMP certified in the past and what we're trying to do for FedRAMP, state ramp, and all the other individual approaches to making sure that the cloud-based solutions serving government are secure and they're done so in a way that is accredited and verified. So that alone is what makes me so glad to be part of this growing team. The other thing that I keep thinking about, and again, anybody have any questions? Because you're here live with Claire Bailey and Neal Byrd talking about Veracode. So throw those comments out there and we'll make sure they get answered. But the other thing that I think about is our overall approach when we look at, I come from an operational perspective. I remember back in the day, I won't tell you what year because it kind of ages me, but back in the day, when I started looking, I had the operational responsibility for cybersecurity for the state of Arkansas. And again, our first parameters were, have we secured the network? How do we, making sure that we had everything in place to stop the breaches that were trying to come in. Then we looked at the cybersecurity training aspect, because you can only as strong as your weakest link. Somebody gets a phishing email, they click on that, give away the keys to the kingdom, and then people are in. But the fascinating part to me about Veracode's approach that it does, the static application security scanning, how that works, and then what we offer in the event that you're got that embedded in your CI/CD pipeline or your agile environment, whatever your development strategy is for application security. Can you walk us through a little bit of how that works and the integration components? And then what happens when we get something like Log4j? What do we do? How do we step up? And what are we doing for public sector right now?
It's a great question across the board. So, if I'm a CISO in a government agency today, what we're hearing across the country and across multiple municipalities is I'm struggling to get staff. I'm struggling to have the right skilled level person to be able to be agile enough to answer a threat like Log4j that just appears out of nowhere when everything seemed fine. So to answer your question, Veracode offers a full platform of both static scanning. So think about scanning code before it goes into production, before you release that feature or that function into your applications, to make sure it's secure, make sure that there are no vulnerabilities or known vulnerabilities in it that a hacker can take advantage of. That's great when you have new code that you're putting together and trying to get a feature out. But what happens after you already have something in production? You need the ability to scan that as well. So we have the offering to be able to scan that dynamically. So we can look at code that's running live, either in a mobile device or a mobile application or on a website, and look for vulnerabilities that way as well. And not only do we find the vulnerabilities, we have recommended paths to remediation. So as you work your way right, we also have the ability to look at things like your open source libraries with a solution around what we call software composition analysis. And that software composition analysis will look at any library, but right now is really prescient because Log4j is out there in Apache and open source, and we can take a look at those libraries and tell you, A, do you have Log4j in your environment? Is it a threat? And here's the way to remediate that. And then if you don't have the skilled people on your staff to be able to do that remediation, we offer a service to help you. So you can, quote unquote, phone a friend at Veracode, have a Veracode professional security analyst walk you through what those remediation steps are, and we will help you get that sealed. So you have a safe operating environment going forward, and you've got a baseline to measure against going forward as well. So what we like to say is you don't really buy Veracode, you kind of hire Veracode. And we are a platform that gives you a single pane of all of your risk that would be out in your applications out on your enterprise and a path to remediate those risks. And we prioritize them. So we know which ones are the most risky. We know the ones that are kind of lower level and give you kind of a timeline or a path on how to fix those.
So that's one of the things too that I think about when my goal, and I know your goal is to, as well as all the leaders at Veracode and all the team members at Veracode, is we are with our current customer base, but also with our growing public sector base, a partner. And partners are there through thick and thin, good times and bad. We answer the phone when you give us a call whenever you need help. So we've got this exciting event coming up in the spring. We've got a great deal of opportunity across the country as I think, again, from the funds that we're seeing, the broadband expansion, the application modernization, where we're coming in and looking at how do we ensure that unemployment insurance programs execute flawlessly and can scale up and down the path when we have other events that force, unfortunately, people to draw more unemployment benefits than in the past. So when you think of the perfect integration point, I'm a new, I will add one more thing. We've got elections coming up where we've got 37 new governors coming, and that can tend to have churn across the chief information officers and their teams. You're walking in new, and I'll be asking this question a lot. You're walking in new to an organization, or you're just joining public sector as a CISO, or you're in the application security realm of a government, and you don't have an application scanning product and you're trying to build that. Do you have any suggestions on where to start and how to do this? That's my trick question that I've been asking the leaders at Veracode. And it's interesting to get these approaches. So what do you think? You're brand new and you want to understand the marketplace and what those tools are. What tools, where would you begin your journey and your search?
Well, first of all, I'd look at my own environment and see if I'm doing anything. And I would always recommend to any CIO or CISO in government, if you're not using a solution at Veracode, use somebody. I mean, this is an important piece to the puzzle to actually get sealed up. Now, we like to think that Veracode has the best offering in the business and the most scalable, and we can prove why. But where I would start is literally doing an assessment of my enterprise internally. I want to know how many applications do I have out there and what are at risk? And did I do any assessments with any other vendors' tools in the past? Have I done any penetration testing against my systems that are out there, and what were the results of those? So I would absolutely start there. And then I would probably go to the analysts and ask the Gartners and the Forresters, who are the leaders in that space, who have thought about doing business in public sector. And, I get kind of cagey about this, about being a security professional in government. Is it a US based company? Do I want foreign development code in my enterprise? Because that unfortunately really does add risk to the equation when I don't have control over kind of continental United States support mechanisms from end to end.
Very valid points. And I want to stop here for just a second and see if any of our listeners have a question for us. Feel free to jump in on chat. And Neal, I think we're about to wrap up while we're waiting for a few messages. So we've got a lot going on. We're coming up to the end of the calendar year. 2022 will be here. And let's do crystal ball time. So we've got our magic crystal ball. What do you project as far as the public sector team and our growth and where we're going to be and what we're going to do in 2022?
I wish it was less hazy, but no, the clarity that's coming through the crystal ball is it's going to be a meaningful event. We've made a significant investment to actually prove that we are secure to operate in the cloud, which will be signified by certifications from FedRAMP and StateRAMP. We also make sure that we have kept up with all of the compliance things like Section 508 and stuff like that. So I think my prediction is government's finally going to know that there is a US based vendor that is here to support them and that has some really interesting qualifications already supporting government before we even were certified, that we've got to get the message out. So 2022 is going to be a year of saying, hey, there is a solution that is solid enough for your enterprise to help government get secure. We're very passionate about this mission. It's not about just selling other software and building revenue. This is about securing the keys to the constituents, the citizens, and the government employees out there. So your data is safe and you're safe. And that is really what we're about.
So true. And we stand ready to help everyone whenever you need help for our network. Whoever knows Veracode, whoever knows Claire, and whoever knows Neal and our team, we're there for you no matter what. So, Neal, great to talk to you today. It's our inaugural LinkedIn Live with Veracode. And guess what? We're going to be doing this again. So if you didn't ask a question today, we'll look forward to live streaming with you again in the future. And thanks to everybody out there listening to us. So with that, I think we're good. You want to say anything else, Neal?
Claire, thanks for hosting. We're super excited about what next year is going to bring, and don't hesitate to ask us questions here or, after the fact. We're happy to help.
Fantastic.
Look forward to working with all of you.
I'm going to click that